Good evening and welcome to Proper Repair. In this video I'll be working on my BMW 5 Series. The problem is that the key fob doesn't work. In order to diagnose this, first we need to understand how the system works. Once we press the button on the key fob, the key sends the radio signal that is picked up by the amplifier. That in return sends it to the general module, which triggers the locks. The rear doors, tank flap and the trunk are connected directly, but the front doors have their own modules connected to the P-bus network. For example, if only the driver's door doesn't work, focus on the motor and the module in that door. If both front doors don't work, there could be a problem with the P-bus network, and if nothing works, we need to diagnose further. A very useful indicator is the central locking button inside the cabin. If that can operate the locks, all of these systems are okay. Another way to rule out these systems is also by using a second key, assuming that it works. Now in my case, neither of the keys worked. The next easiest thing to check is to try to resync the key. To do that, put the key in the ignition, rotate it to the first position and then take it back out. Then press and hold the unlock button and press lock 3 times. If successful, the doors will lock and unlock again. If unsuccessful, then just nothing happens. Now we still don't know if we have an issue with the amplifier or if the keys are bad, so the next thing we're gonna check are the fuse and both wires to the module. Some earlier models might also have a ground wire, so be sure to always check that you have the correct wiring diagram. Fuse number 53 is in the trunk behind this panel. It's right this one. Let's check it out. Looks okay. See if we have power to it. And we do. So that's good. Alright, let's get to this module. First, we gotta remove this lamp. Very easy. Just pry from the top. Slides right out. Here we got two 8mm bolts. 1 and 2. There we go. Alright, and then just it pops right out. Just like that. There we go. Now we can see our module right here. And those here are the two cables we're going to be checking for power and for the communication. I've back probed the power line. And now let's see with the test light. It's nice and bright. That's okay. On the communication wire, I'm just checking for voltage. It's not a definitive proof that it's okay, but for now we're gonna assume it's okay. At least definitely it's not a broken wire. Just put the panel back together in the reverse order. Make sure you don't over tighten those bolts, because this is all plastic. And the light can actually go the wrong way in, so this is the right way. Just snap it in place. There we go. We still haven't ruled out the module completely, but that's pretty much what we can do without using a dealership equipment. Therefore, in search of our issue, we're gonna move to our keys. Since they are over 20 years old, it's possible that the battery inside them has reached the end of its lifespan. Normally, the battery in key is charged by the ring coil hidden in here, while the key is in the run position, like when you're driving. But if the battery is completely dead, then even hours of charging might not bring it back to life. The way to charge the key is using a charger for an electric toothbrush. I bought this very cheap over the Classified ads and removed its housing. Simply place the key on the charger and leave it there for 2 to 3 days. After that, try the resync procedure again. I charged both keys for a few days now. Let's see if we can resync them again. Yes, that worked. Let's see with the second one. Perfect. Now we have 2 working keys. That's great. After a few days, I noticed that one of the keys worked only intermittently and from a shorter distance than the other. I've examined them a bit and it seems that not both of them came with the car, since the information on the back is not exactly the same. You probably won't be able to see this on the camera since it's all faded out, but just trust me on this one. Now the key battery was meant to survive the entire lifespan of the car, but calling anything lifetime is a bunch of malarkey. Therefore, if this key is much older than the other, it makes sense that the battery just cannot hold a charge anymore, so I'm gonna try to replace it. This is not an easy task, requires patience, and will need some soldering equipment. First, we need to open the key by cutting, and I would highly recommend using a vise with some soft jaws. Now you take a sharp Stanley knife and carefully cut along the groove about 1 mm deep. You can damage the electronics if you cut too deep, so take your time when doing this. There we go, we've opened the key. Now you can see how tightly packed everything is. Those elements are very close to the edge. You might be tempted in trying to remove the battery and just replace it with some standard cell battery that you have lying around. Don't do it. You're likely to cause damage and the key fob won't work for long, if at all. For a proper repair, we need to desolder the battery. We take the board out of the housing, and once again, having some basic tools like helping hands really makes our job much easier. And here are the two soldering joints for the battery. I'm not an expert when it comes to soldering, but using a desoldering pump really helps a lot. And we're done. Let's take a close look at the battery. It's a Panasonic VL2020. You generally don't want to be doing all this again, so don't go cheap and buy the same type by Samsung. ML2020 or VL2020 will work. Be sure to check the position of the pins, as they also come 180 degrees apart, but in my case they should be 90 degrees apart. I came across a small issue. See how the old battery is flush with the board? When I put on the new battery, the contacts at the end are a bit wider, so the battery is a bit askew. This will prevent us from putting the key back together. There simply isn't any room to spare. To rectify this, I'm gonna file off that extra material. Remember, patience is the key on this job. And here's the end result. Now that our new battery sits nicely on the board and we've secured it with some electric tape, we can do the soldering part. If the job is done well, we should see the battery voltage across the button switches. And we do on the first one. We have the second one. And also the third one. And now we just need to put the key back together. First, we sand off all the splinters that we soldered earlier. Then we kinda test it, see if it all fits. Perfect. And now we have to super glue the key. But instead of applying the glue directly from the tube, I'm gonna actually cut it open and then use a pick to apply it. And since this stuff is a mess to get it off your hands, I like to use gloves. And now, just temporarily, we're going to use some electrical tape to hold it in place. You can also apply some of the glue directly into the groove. When the glue is all nice and dry, we use a 600 grit sanding paper to remove any extra glue. In the end, this is the result. It's obvious that the key on the left has been tampered with, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with the result. And for the final touch, we can also replace the BMW logo. Removing is fairly easy. And gasoline is a good solvent for any glue residue. You just carefully place the new logo. And you're done. And now we got two perfectly working keys. And now let's also check the trunk. Works. Now I'm sure some of you are wondering if that charger really works, so let me show you. Voltage on the battery, about 3 volts, and on the charger you got over 3.2 volts. Off and on. So it definitely works.